these, and the biggest question or problem I wanted to look at was how can I improve the memory retention of my students, or all of us as teachers. To answer that, first I had to look at how will our students remember information. Well, first they encode it into their brain, and then it's stored there for a while, and they have to retrieve it later. So the two biggest factors we can affect are encoding and retrieval. For encoding, I looked at a few different, models on how people describe how people encode things. But this buffer model is probably the one that I thought made the most sense to me. And it's basically, it passes through your brain, and it it's kind of like a working memory, but over a longer period of time. And it's just kind of stored there temporarily until it's finally encoded into your brain. And everyone's buffer capacity is different. It depends on how difficult the task is, how hard it is to understand. But typically, everyone has a buffer capacity between 2 and 5 items. So, also in retrieval memory, there are two big factors that affected the retrieval. One is chunking. So when you remember something, usually you'll try to access a big topic, and then everything after that is underneath the topic through links that are associated to that topic. Another one is maintenance rehearsal. So the more you practice it, the more you'll remember it. A big key to the maintenance rehearsal, we all know that studying and looking at things more can help you remember it better later, but I also found that the research shows that studying things over time instead of all in one big section is more beneficial. This makes sense just because of all the schooling we've done. We understand that cramming is less useful than studying something over time several times. So how do we use this and implement it in the classroom? Well, as far as the buffer capacity goes, we need to keep the topics that we go over in our class period, between 2 to 5 items, and it also stresses the importance of summaries. Also in research, I found that there's something in your memory called the serial position of what you remember, and so the things at the beginning and end are remembered more easily, so make sure to put your summaries at the beginning or the end. For the chunking, we need to try to get associations between the topics in every item, and so make sure you have effective and organized lesson plans. I know that if someone's lecturing and it's not in an organized fashion, then it'll get muddled in my brain, cluttered, and then I'll be less likely to remember it later, or things will get mixed up later because it's all kind of crisscrossed. Examples of that would be sequencing things in chronological order or things of that nature. Also, I found that item to context associations are also very useful in retaining information, sometimes actually more useful. So when you remember something in a context, you'll remember it better. So that's where you can use mnemonic devices, acronyms catchy songs, strategies like that to help students remember. I know when I was in 5th grade, we learned a rap to remember all the 50 states in alphabetical order. And although I can only get to Georgia or Hawaii now, my best friend from 5th grade can still do the whole thing, and it's quite impressive, and it's because of that rap. The last thing is the maintenance rehearsal. So we know that students will remember it more if they study it more and over time. So how do we get students to avoid cramming and look at how they'll frequently study it every day and often? The thing that I found the most is daily quizzes. So research shows that daily quizzes can actually promote more motivation for kids to come prepared to class every day and study material every night. Also, there was one specific study done in a geometry class, so they had the same teacher, the same exams, same homework, and there's 4 different classes. 2 of them took daily quizzes, 2 of them took weekly quizzes. And the students that took daily quizzes, simply versus the weekly quizzes, scored 12% higher in their homework and 9% higher on the final exam. Also, it's important to note with frequent testing, it can also give you more frequent assessments, and it's important to assess your students' progress more often, and that'll give you benefits as a teacher.